And hello, and welcome to another episode of Entry Matrix. If you are all used to the scuffed quality of Typhus' streams, you are in for a treat because this is my first time doing the show as an official host. Super glad to be here. Super glad to join the show officially. I've been on a couple of times, but I think this is going to be even more interesting for me because, as most of you guys know, me already, or like most of our viewers should know me. I'm Pumba from Team Poland. I was the captain for the last year's WTC, and we managed to win that. I'm super into, just a quick introduction, I'm super into Team Warhammer. Most of the people that delve into Team Warhammer should know me by now, but if anybody doesn't, super glad to welcome you here. Um, as I've said, this is going to be my first time actually hosting the show, as Typhus has gotten somewhat sick or something. So we are doing this a little bit unprompted because he was supposed to be guiding this today's show, but I think we'll manage fair without him. And today uh, we are going to be discussing the 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 qualifier event for the captaincy of the French WTC team, which I believe is called the Big Four tournament. Uh, this is what I've heard, and it was always relayed to me in this manner. What it is the culmination of the French league, the team league, which the French have running in different divisions, and the Big Four is the top four teams of the league are actually playing to pick their team captain for the WTC. So basically, the person who will select the team for this next year's WTC. So it's a big tournament. It's the biggest tournament in terms of like reward you can get for the French community. All the players and all the teams coming are like super into it. They are very competitive, and we are only talking about four-man teams. Four teams of 8 men, full WTC format. So very interesting. Not a lot of games being played, but very something you can like mm, delve into as a microcosm of the French meta, of their choices, and how they prepared against each other, because most of these players would know each other from playing in the league itself for some time. Um, yeah, I think that was a good introduction. I feel like everything is clear to some extent. And let's try sharing with you all what do we have here. We will be talking about the matchups, some lists, some ideas that have emerged from this particular tournament. Some of them will be unfortunately outdated because, well, this tournament happened a while ago now, and it was using still the old Space Marines Codex, of course. So most of the Space Marines lists have been would have gone out of meta, or rather have been discontinued as to not using the new codex. In that sense, we will not probably be diving super hard into the Space Marines. I don't think so. One more note: I believe the tournament was also using the old Terran codex and points, because I believe it was established that the new codex came out way too soon for it to be fully introduced.
Yeah.
But either way, I think there are some very cool ideas after looking at the list. I hope we can discuss them further. All right. In this case, let's actually go into specific matchups. As I've said previously, we are talking about four-man tournament where everybody's playing against everybody. So we only have 3 rounds of this tournament with full WTC scoring. The first matchup we'll be discussing is No Name, which is a team that I don't know most of the players from. I know Alexander Sacco, who won last year's LGT, who is a friend of mine, is on this team. They were going for the win. They were one of the competitors. And Les and Christians have been, I believe, the winners of the last 2 qualifiers with Oliver Storr winning their captaincy 2 times straight. So that's the backstory here. And right away, we are jumping into Space Marine Mirror. So 2 of this list, none of this list, I believe, translate super well into the new meta. What's interesting here, Percastor, the previous WTC captain, running his Raven Guard. What's interesting here is that event was run exactly 1 week after LGT, and you can recognize this list because it was played on stream, which I was actually judging during LGT. So that beautiful list with Raven Guard, with Kevin Strike, with the Aggressor Bomb, all of the good stuff and that the Space Marines have to offer, but run in Raven Guard instead of like typical Dark Angels, for example. How do you think? Do you think there's anything, Nathan, here that could translate into this new meta, or into this new Space Marine Codex? What do you think?
The new Space Marine Codex does seem to be a lot more geared towards mech heavy. The Redemptor Dreadnoughts, the Tech Marines, the Whirlwinds. So, like, for example, we have Battle of Britain at the end of this month. We're allowed to use the new Space Marines, and pretty much all the teams took quite similar Marine lists. With a little bit of variation with what chapter they took. I think one of the Scotland teams took Blood Angels. Most of the England teams, I think all 3 England teams took Dark Angels to take the Dark Shroud. But pretty much it's triple Whirlwind, triple Dreadnought, triple Tech Marine with all the enhancements, multiple Scout units. Then that's kind of the bulk of the list. So yeah, some of this stuff like Whirlwinds will stay. But I think a lot of it will change. I don't see the aggressors being as popular now, but it'll all depend on how the meta shifts in certain ways.
Yeah, I think the Space Marine Codex is just being first tested in actual tournaments, so it's very interesting for me, like, to see how this codex develops. For now, the things that are very obvious in terms of its general power seem to be a little boring. I don't know if you'd agree with me, but the things like the return of the Iron Hands, for example, I think would be pretty awful, like, to play as. I mean, to be honest, Iron Hands has always been a little daft of a chapter, in my opinion, and this new incarnation seems to be even worse than the previous ones. So I'm not super excited to be testing that for a particular list. What's interesting about Pierre's list is he was running 3 Whirlwinds before it was cool, and before it was Iron Hands even. So even more, like, actually on the edge of the meta, playing the 3 Whirlwinds before it was cool. Other than that, as I've said, the big Vanguard veteran block with Kevin Shrike, who gave them the ability to basically get blown up, which is just phenomenal. And of course, the normal aggression bomb. And this was played in a mirror against some Dark Angels with the aggressor Brob SM, because it does have there are the aggressors, the apothecary, the 10 ignites, the 10 hellblaster units. I believe this was run with Azrael.
Yeah, probably.
Some Inceptors, as you do. What's kind of sad about the new Space Marine Codex, I find, is the fact that, by the way, this list also has 2 Whirlwinds. I think the French were just on the Whirlwind train way before the new Codex came out.
Yeah,
and I think they were onto something. But yeah, the sad part about the new Codex, I feel like, is the fact that most of these data sheets stayed the same. So I feel like we are going to see a lot of the same thing happening, kind of the same data sheets being played across all of the different detachments, which actually just change your rules, don't really change the data sheet, or maybe change the gameplay a little bit. But the discrepancy, I feel like, between the new data sheets and or like the good data sheets or the bad data sheets is massive. So taking anything very out there seems scuffed. It's hard to justify, is what I mean.
Yeah, I guess for me, the only thing that I do quite like, and it's the Tyranid Codex as well, is at least right now, it looks a little bit like we've had 2 new codexes and an addition, and neither of them look like they're going to completely break the game, which at least is a nice change from 9th edition, where every new codex, everybody was in a panic because it was, what absolute nonsense is coming out now? So at least the Marines, while they seem good, and the new NIDs are good, but the only thing I have with them a little bit is I think because of the way the meta changed, they lost some favorable matchups. Because NIDs were always really good against like Marine profiles that we saw at the WTC, but those Marine armies are just not as popular now. Like the infantry more or elite based infantry armies just don't really exist anymore as much. But yeah, at least they're not massively power cracked like they were in the previous edition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My fear is that this is going to come basically in waves, or like what happened in 9th, I believe, was some of the first codexes like Death Guard or Space Marines were actually not that bad, or the supplements for Space Wolves or something. And then shit got absolutely wild after Dark Elder, for example. So the first 2 codexes is either a sign that we are off to a good start, and this is going to keep happening, and we are going to have a more of a stable meta, something that doesn't get absolutely blown out of proportion every time a codex comes out, or we will get a lot of power creep as well. Just those codexes are going to absolutely suck in like 4 months.
True.
Which is the fear. All right, this one, this particular matchup, talked about Space Marines extensively, went to Oliver 20-0, which is very surprising, by the way.
Yeah, it is,
I don't think we have the mission, or at least not here, but that is a spectacular result, I feel like.
Yeah, for a resilient list like Dark Angels to get pumped like that, surprising, but you never know, stuff happens in games. But still, yeah, 20-0 is very surprising. I think one thing was
It
quite
is very surprising. I think
from if you go back the page, is there a 5-point penalty? Because it ended, is it 80? The scores don't add up to 100.
Let's check.
Yeah, I think there's a 5-point.
That's interesting.
No name. Oh, well, then just if one of the scores looks a bit weird, then we'll know why.
Yeah, that does make sense. All right, and we come to the next matchup, which is the good old Elder playing Necrons, and the good old Elder putting a honest 99 on the board against Necrons to 49.
So he's 1 point off.
Which is just kind of tragic that the meta is still like this. Again, this just looks very, very normal Elder, which is, I mean, I think this exact list, right? So 10 right guard, 2 to 3 spinners, the Incarn is just prolific. It's been played at LGD. It still is just the bread and butter of broken lists currently. I like the addition of Solitaire. I actually rate this unit. I know it's comparatively expensive in the codex for what you can get, but personally, a favorite of mine. And of course, the infamous Fugan, who everybody laughed at the WTC, but now everybody plays him.
Everyone's copied it, yeah. But yeah, it's nowadays the
what's
Eldar is just 10 Wraithguard or 20 Wraithguard because they just haven't fixed Phantasm. I don't know why it was. They've got strats that stop Wraith Construct. Phantasm would have been one way you just go. You can keep it for vehicles and keep it for work, just make it no Wraith Construct. That was the only thing that really abused it. But
yeah, that checks out. I think the Raker are still the bread and butter, the cookie cutter build that you take, and it's just incredible. But I think the codex is also broken and wide enough that you can really experiment with it. I've seen some wild lists that have done well recently. So I don't think this is the ultimate, you need to take this to do well with Elder in teams. But I think it's just I take Elder because we need Elder, because otherwise there is no way we are doing anything, and this is the build you take. And this Necron list is a 20 Lichguard list with 3 Doomsday Arcs, which is controversial.
yeah.
Is Doomsday Arc the choice for 210?
Don't think so, personally.
I don't think so.
It just feels very slow. Like, does he have a Satan? I assume he has a Satan.
Yes, there is still a Descendant with the 4-up Final Pain. Also, don't rate this unit. I think it's too many points. Exactly. It's too many points in a unit that is difficult to kill, but does basically nothing else. It maybe does missions, but if you are taking a 310-point unit to just jump around in the missions, you could do that for a lot less, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
in any codex and with Necrons, it's the same thing.
The game's moved to fix now, so cards is less prolific. So the Satan for 310 points on fixed doesn't seem that worth it, really.
Yeah, generally not a super fan of this list. I think this kind of this list seems like an old list that was not particularly updated, or maybe it wasn't playtested extensively against something that some things that can counter it. I've noticed definitely that the warrior build has gotten a little more prolific and more popular amongst the Necron players, which completely makes sense. What do you generally think about Necrons right now? Would you actually take them in an 8 months? I think it's a very difficult question, because I've been thinking somewhat about it, and whereas it's very hard to actually say that Necrons are not good, or like they are not a good army, they are not top 8 army, I think they are very vulnerable in this meta. Whereas they've gained a lot from the Data Slate, some of their biggest enemies have gained even more, is my opinion.
Yeah, so I guess we talked about it when we did the tier list last episode with Vic, where we all kind of agreed that the smaller the team you have, the less likely you should take Necrons. Like a 4-man, 5-man teams, if you design your team to be able to bully Necrons, you're almost down an army. And there's quite a few armies that can bully Necrons right now. The warrior heavy list is really good, because I think in teams of 8, if you can get it into the right matchups, it'll come away with good points. But the only thing I have is I don't know how well it's pushing differential now. So if it's winning, is it winning by like 12, 13, or is it actually 20 nilling people? Doesn't seem like it's 20 nilling people.
Yeah.
And then there are quite a lot of armies that can bully it now. And the problem is, if you do take stuff that can deal with, say, one block of 20 warriors, then the kind of game plan falls. They don't really have a backup option. Like, if you can deal with one of the blocks, it just feels like you kind of are going to lose the game. So, I
think I agree with that.
I would, but it would
be
like.
Whereas on paper, it's very hard to kill those warrior bricks. But if you actually try to make a team composition that is designed to punish this kind of list, I think this might all just fall apart. And it's kind of this case of pinning an army with like 5 different options, right? If you are like going even to a singles event, I feel like you just are prepared to. I'm going to be able to sweep 20 warriors just on the spot. And if you come across such a list, as Necrons, there is like no backup plan, as you said. So in this, it's hard to me to like say the Necrons are bad, but I don't know if they are justifiable. This build is very different to like the Warriors build. It's 20 Lich Guard and the Doomsday Arcs. I'm very curious as to what its purpose is, very specifically, like what it is supposed to be played against, paired into. Any ideas on that?
It's
Maybe
still,
first defender.
Yeah, this still feels like a bit like the the Necrons, how they were used at the WTC, where they were maybe not the point scorer that the Necron list, the warrior heavy list that say Liam Hackett took, but like a very solid put forward army that was good against certain armies that it could pressure. But yeah, I would imagine this is maybe be a put forward, maybe occasionally take it on the chin and take out some of the good armies. But then again, you play something like this Eldar list, and I'm not saying it should 20-0 you every time, but it's just not good, especially for the Lich King.
It's very hard, right?
Yeah.
Just the two spinners basically render your army almost useless.
Yeah.
Which is very hard.
That Eldar list is going to get 95, basically.
Yeah.
Can you stop it doing that? Well, you have two Lich Guard units that can't make it across the board, and then the rest of your army is slow. So no, it's going to get 95 and can probably push the Wraith Guard unit. So
yeah, didn't happen this game. I'm very interested to see what it was paired for the next 2 rounds. Next up, we do have Alexander Psycho playing Bulgar from Semicus de Jong. And this time we have Chaos Space Marine list, which I believe is the exact build that him, Liam VSL, and Christopher Radford, I believe, ran at LGT. They've all done incredibly well with Liam actually winning the whole tournament. I think this is the exact point for point list they all ran. Yup, it checks out 2x2. Yeah, the Nergens describes it's all here. Maybe some minor, very minor changes that I can't even notice. And this went against Eldari. And straight up 20 0'd it. That's a fucking score. That's a score and a half.
Yeah, considering you get 10 points for turning up with a painted army. Yeah, so Eldar scored points.
Yep. Let's go through this Eldar list. Maybe there's something here that is very out there, and maybe this would explain the score.
Yeah.
And Whaley pair without the Phoenix Gem is an option. I think sometimes if you like the points that you might drop the Phoenix Gem, it's very good.
Yeah.
But definitely an option to drop it. We have the Avadar of Cain with no Incarn.
Okay, good start.
Okay. We do have a Farsi, we have a Skyrunner, and Illic still. The Spirit Seal, so we are expecting to see some Wraith Guard. We have the normal stuff like Hawks, some more Walkers.
Yeah, I like
110 for a single World Walker. We have.
Oh, Wraith Knight. Okay.
What?
Yeah. It just doesn't do anything anymore, unfortunately. It just.
I think this is just wrong, no?
Yeah.
Am I just crazy to say this is just wrong to bring a Wraith Knight in the Eldari list for 510?
Yeah, the meta's moved. Even from the WTC, the meta's moved so on. Wraith Knights got absolutely hammered. And then the game is much more MSU now. So it just doesn't, well, MSU-ish. Yeah, that doesn't feel great. And then no Young Khan. This feels a little bit like...
Not a single spinner for its utility still.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like this.
Nah, I'm not a huge fan.
And I don't think Bulgar liked this matchup very well. Seeing what I see here is CSM going first and just rushing this.
Aggro, yeah. And that
Yeah,
looks like a concede as well, because probably the CSM player didn't get max secondaries on the first turn, and then just like, okay, it was 99 then. And he scored 8
yeah,
points in
because
cards.
without the reach of the spinners and like without the incarn, what happens if you just get rushed by this list, right? With the rhinos and the chosen and the lords that basically kill God, is you have a block of Wraith Guard, a Wraith Knight, which we know now like doesn't actually kill infantry anymore, or like it definitely can, but it won't just blow it out of the like thin air like it used to. I don't think it kills like 10 chosen, maybe with some fate dice, but
10
I don't
chosen
think
might
it
kill
does.
it.
And then Avatar, but just a normal Avatar though. I think this is very experimental for the new meta, and generally not a fan of especially the right Knight choice. Moving on, of course we will be spending more time this time going in this round because the army list, as we said, we are talking about just 4 teams, so they are going to be repeating. So then we will just concentrate more on the actual scores of the games. Here we have alternates brought by Semi-Christians.
This might be
How
new points, actually.
do you think?
2,
Ooh,
3, 5, maybe not.
Invasion fleet still, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got Invasion Fleet. There's definitely a Tyranid list that isn't new points, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. That's very interesting. This one, I am very not.
Yeah, so that's old points.
This is surely old.
Yeah, but there's. But then
I don't believe anybody would bring 2 Bioforce right now.
No, and they're the wrong points as well.
Yeah,
it's the wrong points.
All right. So this is all. This is, by the way, 6 Iron Guard style points with the Swarmlord.
Yeah, that's a very.
This clearly worked. And this worked against Chaos Knights, which were okay, but not. I think they have gotten better, let's say. How about this Warlocks list? 3 Stalkers.
6 Brigands, probably.
6 Brigands.
Yeah.
And Huntsmen. And a single Carnivore.
Yeah.
With no demons as well, because they were already taken by the CSM list.
Yes. Which is the argument now, and this is a thing. Yeah. I'm going to a team event at the end of this month. I'm using Chaos Knights. I think they're one of the best army and teams now. I love them, but I am super biased, so don't take my advice for it. I think CK have really good matrix now. The argument of where you put the demons is an interesting one. I'm personally, obviously, I'm biased because I'm a CK player. I think they make the CK a lot better, and CSM can play without them better than CK can play without them. So if you're looking at strength of a team, I think it balances those 2 codexes better rather than having like a weaker CK and a more powerful CSM. But there's arguments for both ways. I do get it.
Yeah, there's definitely arguments as like we consider, for example, we consider Chaos Knights to be a weaker codex, somewhat over maybe defender, someone who is supposed to score 10s, and maybe they play more passively, so they don't necessarily need demons that much. But the CSM are supposed to just go aggro and 20-0 everybody, so they need the backup, like the line of defense for their backfield in ways of Nerdlings, less maybe the Changeling or the Scribes. So I think that both ways are valid. It's very dependent on how exactly are you planning to use those both armies.
Yeah,
that's true. What do you actually think about bringing this part? Because it's all dogs. it's always all dogs.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a single argument to be had for bringing the Big Nights still.
No, Big Nights suck.
I myself am a Big Night hater from like 4 years now, and nothing has really changed. But what do you think about especially Huntsmen?
They're an so say mine. I'm taking 13 Baby Nights. I've got 1 Stalker, 6 Brigands, 6 Carnivores, and sticky objective on one of the Stalker. So my thing with, because I looked at these French lists and thought, well, that one's interesting. So they've only got 1 Carnivore. They've got for Huntsmen. They've got the Stalkers. For me, it's kind of they hit on 3s. The combat is 4 attacks hitting on 3s. And the Huntsmen have to take the sword, which is not great. So while the list packs in more melter guns or melter, which is nice, I just feel like because the abilities for the Huntsman is pretty awful. It's not great.
What is it? Just for reference.
It's reroll 1s for damage. Which
is okay. So
sometimes happens.
Something you have on the data sheet, but actually not very relevant often.
Yeah, and the other problem with the Huntsman is you can't take the indirect gun, and you have to take a chain talon rather than a fist. So it's just like okay, it's just not, because the Baby Knight for Imperial Knights is a bit better with the sustained hits, but for this one they don't have it. Then the Stalker ability is nice, doesn't come up that often. Just every time I've played with the Chaos Knights, the Stalker always seems like the least effective one. So for me, I like the 6 Carnivores. It allows me to put more pressure on. They are faster. They hit on 2s. Just that everything in your list, apart from the Stalker hitting on 2s, just helps the reliability so much nicer.
Yeah, I rate Carnivores just incredibly high. I think they are straight up insane. They are the cheapest from the bunch, which mental. The fastest hitting on 2s. They basically, I recently picked up some World Eaters games, and then I looked at Angren's profile in melee, which is very good, and then I looked at Carnivores, and they are almost exactly the same, bar like some buffs, but they punch like a truck. We are talking like Angren's level of damage, so incredibly good.
I think that's fantastic.
I would definitely if I were to choose, I would definitely go more your way of building it. But it is still interesting to me that I think this is not the only list like this of Chaos Knights that is built in the exact same way. And generally across this this tournament, I feel like there are some of the meta calls that have been deliberately chosen by some of the teams as like their meta pick, which is not the global meta pick, but it's very specific for their list design or the meta they were playing in, which I feel is interesting because it seems to be a little disjointed from what we usually see on the more global tournament scene. And I wonder if there's a clear answer or just choices, because it often, like, you look at something. Basically, what I've learned throughout the all the content, the streams, the actual WTC prep is there's not a bad list until you can prove it's bad.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like the amount of times we've had it where we all have the same source material. We all have the same books.
Exactly.
We can all play the same games. And every year we turn up to the WTC and everybody's meta is and lists are different. And we're just like, okay, fair enough.
Exactly.
Australia's is always different. French is always different. English is always different. English and Polish is usually relatively similar.
Which is kind of good.
Do better with it, but that's because your tournament scene is much more geared to helping you than it is for us. But yeah, there's a whole different
True.
conversation.
So this particular matchup, the Old Nits have managed to take it 13-7, so not a huge blowout. So generally, the matchups are kind of going equal, or like equal-ish.
Yeah, there's
We
like
have
a big win one way, big win the other
0
way.
to 20-0, so this basically zeroes out. Then we have a huge blowout with Eldari, which would, for me at least, looking at the matrix, is just automatically put this team, which is no name, as a favorite, just looking at those. Next up, we have, this is basically draw-wish adjacent. And then we have CSM against Leagues of Votan. And this, Leagues of Votan definitely one of the factions that have improved the most. I think, as you guys discussed in the last episode, absolutely an auto include in any team comp. I rate them super highly. But what actually is in the list? This is the 3 Grimnir variant, which I've seen run at actually LDT. This datasheet is nutty. It often doesn't fit well into the actual list, but just looking at this guy with 3 models for 65 points, this guy shoots incredibly well for its cost. It
Yeah,
also
it does.
has
Yeah,
some
it's weird.
incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Then we have 10 warriors. Only 10 warriors. That
Just
kind of makes sense with all the Grimnir taking your space in the list. And how many Sagittars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sagittars.
Yep, best transport in the game. Makes sense.
Of course, 10 Hearthguard and 2x6 Thunderkin with 3 units of Pioneers. Okay. No no fortresses. This is kind of cookie cutter. I think the decisions are you either take the Grimnir or like the more of the characters. But they do take up your transport slots in your Sagittars. You can go with a lot of warriors or Hearthkin. Yeah, warriors. Good. Well, more of the warriors to have more of a MSU with the Sagittars and like more OC. Or you can also go with 20 Hearthguard.
Yeah, I like the 20 Hearthguard version the most on WTC's terrain, especially into certain matchups. But it's always going to be.
Thunderkin are also interesting because running 6, I think, is just good, but 12, they are not a fast unit, and they are very kind of specialized, in my opinion, against vehicles. I mean, drive weapons. And if you don't come across many of those, I don't know if tying up a good 300 points of your list here is necessarily the best idea.
So Josh playtested them. My brother playtested them quite a lot, and I got to play against them quite a few times. And actually, yes, by far they're so much better against vehicles. But to be honest, I think the strength 5 minus 2/2 damage, it's still pretty good against like marine profiles. So like if you still get shot by, if like a 5-man chosen squad still gets shot by them, it's still pretty nasty for them. They're not expensive. They're annoyingly tough. And predominantly you're outflanking them a lot of time because obviously this guy hasn't taken any fortresses, which I think for WTC terrain, I like one, but I can definitely see the argument for not taking any.
For example, I don't rate fortresses. I think with your options to take Sagittars, I don't necessarily find it optimal to run any fortresses because something else is going to suffer. You are either not taking a Hearthguard, you don't maybe have enough Pioneers or OC. So myself on WTC terrain, I would not actually take any fortresses, but I think it's options. This codex is generally just good right now.
Yes, it's just everything such. Like I still like 1 or 2 units of berserkers on WTC terrain.
Yeah,
in certain matchups,
I kind of agree.
They're really useful. Yeah.
Yep, completely agree with that take. It's this feel like all of those Leagues of Bottomless just go on and on and on. It's like
Yeah,
2,500 points of the list just
like those
crammed into that
100-point
1,000
transports,
points.
insane.
This is just
Sagittarius, so
Sagittarius are just nutty. All right, and what do we have here against them? This is the CSM list, and this is the CSM list with Abaddon still. Very like different to what Liam and Seko were running.
no lords.
Simple bit.
By the looks of it.
No lords, just Abaddon.
Yeah, just about.
With the huge Terminator squad with Abaddon. So this very old style of list, I feel like we got coming. Nurgle Oblits, Undivided Oblits, both 4-men. 2 more Oblits with Nurgle, and some demons for mission play. So this is very old school WTC style. Like I think Anthony Vanilla ran something very similar to this, or like in concept at least at WTC. Now the question remains: is this the way? Because I feel like this doesn't excite me as much as the new CSM, like the MSU build that was developed recently.
Yeah, I personally prefer the more MSU version quite a lot. I think the Terminators are good in certain matchups. Their ability to control space and board and push primary differential in certain matchups is very good, because sometimes that CSM list charges something, might kill something, but if it's not staying around, it's not actually knocking down some points. It's but I can see where he's gone for having the 10 blitz, but then he's got no Forge Fiends, which for now, a Forge Fiends 180 over 2 blitz kind of feels probably better.
The Forge Fiends are just nutty.
Yeah.
They are just a nutty profile.
Yeah.
I mean, the profile is good, but of course, we are talking mainly about stuff like rolling everything to hit that wound being good. And with 3 scores of obliterators, I can kind of see that. And with the Terminators, and with no, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe there is an enhancement that can allow you to gain more CP, or does the Abaddon do it himself?
Abaddon can do more CP, yeah.
Can still generate that,
every
right?
time he does a Dark Pact. Now, there was a bit of a thing at the WTC about whether he had to be able to shoot or not, but I don't know when. Depends what tournaments are playing.
I don't think he has to shoot. I think he just needs to be selected, but the target is not relevant. So he doesn't have a target. But there's still a lot of squads that you would like to stratagem in a turn. So, for example, just Nurgle strat on the either Terminators, maybe 1 Oblits. Most of these are probably getting into reserves. You would like to cast like all full rerolls these Obliterators in a turn range they come on. You would probably want to full reroll those those Terminators if they get in. I kind of see the point of not bringing another, like a Force Fiend. However, this profile is just insane for me. Like the Force Fiend profile still is just kind of hard to not bring on board, let's say.
Yeah, and then some of the demon units like a unit of Screamers and 2 units, 2 units of Screamers and unit of Flame. It's 240 points for 3 little units that don't do anything really anymore. It's just like
I think that all of these have gotten like, I know Flamers used to cost 65, now they are 80, and I don't think I am ever bringing them again.
No.
Especially like, I think you have 2 spawn are 65 still, I think. So I don't think they are just worth it anymore.
For 80 points, you can take in a CSM list, you can take Plague Marines who get a Power Fist, or like 2 Power Fists, 2 combat, 2 basically accursed weapons, a decent flamer. They still have the Nurgle keyword, so you can still use the Nurgle strat on them. It's just like, And they get the something else for being on objectives as well. It's just like, oh, for 80 points, that unit actually is just a lot better.
Yeah, all of these I think are a bit overcosted for what they bring to the table. If you could just, some of the times you just prefer to have Nurglings, right? Just very cheap Nurglings, just dropping in, doing the action and dying, and that's fine. And it's like what, half the points? So not sure if the correct, like the choice of the trash that this brings to the missions is correct as well.
I think it's a problem is because he's got the Terminators and Tenor Blitz, the list, and they always have to be doing something realistically.
Mm-hmm.
The list is very elite, so he had to put all the little things in, which probably means he has to play cards, because I don't know how great this is at doing fixed in a lot of games.
Yeah, I would struggle to believe that this list can reliably score action missions throughout 5 turns of the game.
Yes, yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to achieve that.
But he won 12-8.
Excuse me?
Which is interesting. But then again, yeah, he's got quite a lot of anti-tank, and the Terminators are quite good board control versus Votan. So, yeah. Not bad result.
This score is kind of interesting to me, because just looking at those two lists, I feel like the Votan have a very clear advantage here. Just because they have so many units and so many transports to play the game, right? To a reasonable small win. I would, if those scores were flipped, I would have been less surprised. Just
that's probably what I would have thought from the result.
Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting how this very elite list, as we've said, has dealt so well with the MSU. All right. Next up we have another faction that I'm very high on, surprisingly, is the Gry Nights, and we have some very interesting Gry Nights lists generally in this tournament. So let's see what this one is about. This is the triple librarian. I think the default option right now, just literally the only anti-tank you have in the entire codex.
It's just great mortals. They're a bit of a no-brainer right now.
Yep. What's interesting is one of the librarians have the sigil, which is the one teleportation, and it's on Libby. We do have the Grandmaster. We do have the Drago. What's the meat? The meat is 5 Termies, 5 Termies, 5 Termies,
3 librarian
5
units.
Termies. Yep. A strike squad, and 10 paladins to go with the Grandmaster.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
I think this is akin to what Jack Carpenter was trying at WC still. And I do like this kind of list. I'm wondering if going even more. This list isn't very MSU. It seems to be MSU, but all of the squads actually cost a good 300 points with librarians in them. But this can definitely still play the game well. I'm wondering if going super MSU right now with Gry Nights isn't actually the way to go.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. I don't know how MSU they can really go. I don't know. They're not crazy tough, so you might have some primary issues. I don't really know where GK stand with. Do they still use their maneuverability to do cards, or do they stick with fixed? I'm not quite sure.
I think with enough units, you can quite reliably do fixed. I don't know if this particular list can achieve that, but this is very akin to what I think Jack Harpster. This is a variation of Jack Harpster's list. I feel like you've got a huge paladin bomb. You've got the free stratagem with the Grandmaster or the Drago is going into there to give them better deep strike.
Yeah.
You have 3 librarian units. It's tricksy. I feel like if everybody played 4 games against Gry Nights, they wouldn't be good. But since nobody's doing that, I think they are.
Yeah, I still think in the hands of a good player, they are still good. Now, onto a
I think they are
faction
this kind of tricksy army that's on the very edge of being good, and just sometimes bringing it on board if you have a player who has put enough practice into them and has tested this extensively. I think just bringing that kind of list piloted well to a team tournament can give you results just by the virtue of it being kind of untested and unknown. And it's playing against Tau. What's the French idea on Tau right now? We've got Farsight, we've got Shadow Sun, a Cold Star with the Exemplar, another Cold Star with Precision. We got the big crisis suits. It's all cyclic, right? Yep. Second big crisis blob. 3 ghost skills. That's a significant number of ghost skills. A Piranha, a Stealth, and obviously the Chos. Because this is the Tau Codex, so you need to bring 6 Tetras, otherwise you are playing without any fucking damage. It's really just Codex Tetras is right now on the Tau Codex, I feel like. This is
It seems quite geared for damage while maintaining enough scoring. My only thing with Tau every time is every time I see it now, I'm always leaning less and less towards the crisis heavy build. I much prefer the Breaches and Devilfish version right now. Because I just feel like in teams, it just tanks its own score with giving away fixed. Because people can just go either take the center for 15 and I'll get 20 for killing vehicles. Because it's not difficult, especially with Tau. And then it's kind of like, or I'll take, I can get 10 by sitting on one objective and get 20. So it's just like, even if the Tau pull out a win, if your opponent goes, I got 40 for primary, 10 for turning up, painted, and I got 30 for secondary, it's 80. Even if you get 100, it's what, 13-7? It's just like...
Yeah. I do agree with that. I think this is Tau's biggest weakness. This is something that we have we have explicitly experienced at WTC, that the Tau is just completely like hamstrung by the fact that they are just giving 20 points straight away to your opponent, and it's their biggest weakness by far. It's hard to switch that mentality off of the crisis blob with cyclics, because this unit kind of kills God, and it's so very default to just play it. But I think you might be onto something, that actually running the Tau very differently from how it's been run for now might be the way to go. Because this kind of Tau just seems very, like, extremely good, right? Especially now after the points reduction. I was very much surprised that it doesn't, for now at least, for me, from my experience, actually doesn't perform as well as would have expected after the Data Slate dropped. I thought Tau are going to be like the top 3 army, and just because you are giving so much fixed away, this is just killing you. This, as well as I feel like we are in a transport heavy meta, and Tau really fucking hate activation blocking.
Yeah, I think it's one of those.
This is even like, so we've got no breachers, no fishes. We have 3 kills, which is like a good infiltrator unit. I don't know if playing 3 is particularly necessary, but I cannot say I don't like heals. They are ridiculously tanky and ridiculously good for the points. But at the same time, it's very, I feel like this is very susceptible to activation locking, especially because you've got those huge, like, 2 crisis units that basically can kill everything. But what about playing like MSU transport list, right?
Yeah.
What happens then?
your Sagittarius, your Chaos Knights,
Yep. Like imagine this going into 6 Sagittars. Ugh.
Cool.
This is going to suck.
Yeah. And then you play Eldar and go, here's 2 Night Spinners, those 2 units.
Oh, Jesus. Oh.
Yeah.
And you are moving 10. Goodbye, good sir.
Yeah.
Oof,
and
that
good luck shooting this Phantasming unit. Cool.
Ugh.
So it's just like, do you really want to play
disgusting.
CK? Do you really want to play Eldar? Do you really want to play Votan? Because Votan, if you take like Thunderkin, things like that, they just start they wound you on 2s. Basically, Tau would probably be a top 3 codex if you took Vehicle off the Crisis Suits.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
100%. I think this, where it's interesting, I think this is this kind of list that the new Necrons just fear.
Yes.
If you see this with your Necron warrior blobs, you are just like, I'm absolutely fucking not playing this for a point. Like if I get a single point from this, it's gonna be a miracle. Because
and I think that's
getting
where
tabled super fast.
They still have a place, especially in smaller teams, because you can just bully certain armies. But but there's not actually that many Death Star lists. There's the Necrons. That's kind of it. You can say Wraithguard, but when you're phantasming all the time, it's not that.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we have to a Death Star unit would be Deathwing Knights, for example.
Not anymore.
Right?
Not the new codex.
Or like this Paladin Rob, I guess. But all of these are still so hard to shift. Like the Deathwing Knights are the only units that, like this, as we've discussed, this kills God, but it doesn't kill the Deathwing Knights.
No, exactly.
Which is like the one unit it just struggles with.
Doesn't love CSM, probably.
Yep. Any transport heavy list is going to be a pain. And this is the problem, right? This is something, as I've said, very similar to what happened at WDC with our Tau. Like, it's good on paper, it has some good matchups, but it's getting hamstrung by the fact that if you have a good matchup, you still aren't going to score very highly, I feel like, because of the fixed secondaries.
Yeah, that's true.
All these previous ones have been like 13-7, 12-8, 13-7 again. Very close games. And here we have another just wipe with Sisters.
Yeah,
so we have just come out of Tampa with Sisters just winning a super major. And here, piloted by Lamar, who also brought them to LGT and also has done very well with them. Let's see this. I wish Typhus was here to talk about Sisters in detail, because all I know is basically there is a Sister squad that is very good with certain buffs, and whatchamacallit, the 13-point guys are called, here they come, the Flagellants are broken.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So the Flagellants are broken, kind of. I mean, 13 points for 2 and 2 for ups, feel no pain, putting like billion attacks each. Just good. Sure. We have Castigators. We've got some of the best junk in the game in form of 25 points too many units. Jesus Christ. That's beautiful. The minions. I have no idea what the minions do right now. Not a clue. Not a clue.
Yeah, Exorcists are good.
Yep, the Exorcists, the suits with Morvenville, so like the one hammer unit kind of that you have, and some Seraphim, and the Kalidas. Sure. This is kind of this, I would say, cookie cutter list of Sisters with 3 Rhinos, 1 Emulator, so a lot of them. Yeah, there is a Triumph, there's the Val to go with prayer against Worset, and the Magifier that I have no clue what does. Does the Magifier do? Or its abilities?
But it's all just cheap.
Sisters.
Just get loads.
I feel like this is another army that is a big unknown currently.
Yes.
This is one of those factions which I feel you can very comfortably take to any team tournaments if you have a player that has delved deep into the army and has practiced it a lot into different matchups. I think people are disrespecting sisters, and we have seen it just in Tampa, just people constantly disrespecting sisters and getting punished. So there's definitely something here. Generally, like my honest opinion about this whole tournament, and I think about this meta, is it has gotten a lot more open, and we can see that in things like Gry Nights coming up, sisters popping up, some weird stuff with Chaos Knights, right? We've got a lot of stuff that we weren't seeing at WTC. And all of this is kind of valid, and it might be just down to player skill and like player preparation to come up with something that works. And this has 20-0 Necrons.
That's a surprise.
Which is like, I would say this is the worst matchup the sisters have.
I've seen Necrons.
So, just, okay. Okay, we've got the Orican, so I'm expecting to see some warriors. There's the Stan with the 4-up Feel No Pain, 2 Hexmore Destroyers. We've got the Techno, the Overlord, the second Overlord. We've got the big Necron warriors to go with Orican. We've got some Reptiles, the Lich Guard, still 2 Doomsday Arcs, and the Terminator with some heavy destroyers.
Relatively standard.
Kind of normal.
Yeah.
Yep. Except for the Doomsday Arcs, which I still don't think just a little too expensive right now to be worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just don't think they're good on. I just don't get them on WTC terrain either. Fire lanes are not great on certain tables.
Sorry. Technical problems. Messed up with my Windows. All right. But generally, I have no clue what happened here. We would need. I know Typhus is super high on the sisters train. He's super into them. He has spent entire LGT talking to Mitch and Lamar about sisters instead of actually judging any games, as he usually does. So I think there's something here. How this happens, I'm gonna be honest. I have no clue how sisters actually 20-0 Necrons list. This seems like trouble, but apparently I'm wrong.
The only thing I can think of is if he's disrespected the sisters and then decided, I don't know, if he's gone too aggressive with, say, the 20-man warrior unit early, sisters players dealt with it. I don't know the math on most of it. I don't know, maybe the sisters can take that 20-man block out and then the list slowly, a bit like Necrons in quite a few games, they can slowly start falling apart. So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know quite how that's got to that score. But I definitely need to relook at sisters again properly.
Yeah, super honest. No clue what happened here. People in France do be crazy and running incredible sisters list, apparently.
That is true.
And then we have another 20-0 that basically seals up the deal. I believe Semi-Christians have taken that with those last 2 20s. And that's Orcs into Guard. Okay, let's actually see that orc list. Is this going to be the same like USA WTC adjacent style list? We've got 3 Beastboss. We've got Snagas for days, which I mean 3 minutes for the Beast Boys. We've got boys,
Okay.
trucks, big trucks, Gretchen, boys, bikes. Yeah, this is basically USA's list.
Yeah, so this went first on probably the Orcs board choice table. the guard
Yep.
didn't do enough, and then the orcs went, "Cool, you've got no toys left."
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I've got your deployment zone, especially if he hasn't taken.
yeah. This checks out. I know a guy that was on the receiving end of that in one of the games that was streamed at WTC. Heard that was pretty nasty if that list goes first. And I can see how this guard list just got completely overwhelmed. Got 2 command squads and guns goes. By the way, one of the best units in the game, period.
Yeah,
How the
100%.
fuck did it got like less expensive? I have no clue. 2 command squads, Creed, Leontis, some infantry, sure. 2 Earthshakers, Hellhounds, 2 Mantis, 3 Mantis, and Medusas and Attaches. This looks like Skark's list, by the way.
Yeah, so he's tried to.
This is very adjacent to Skark's list, but it's gotten a lot worse now.
Yeah,
all the
lose 300
all
points.
the no-loss shooting has gotten a lot more expensive. I feel especially the struggles because it doesn't have that Bulgarian squad, because like people are just underestimating how good and crucial the Bulgarians was in that list. And I think without it, you've got the classic case of, oh no, I'm getting rushed. And I'm getting rushed with something that has a lot of transports. And even if I kill those transports, everything inside of them is just swarming me in my deployment zone. And I think this is exactly what happened here.
Yeah.
Yep. So this kind of checks out. Some of the matchups here I completely don't understand, which is also fine. And we have a win for the semi-Christians. 88 to 67, some points missing. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe some interesting penalty points or some shit. Then we've got a draw in the first turn between FTA and Paris United. Let's jump into that matchup and see what these are cooking. Okay, we've got 12-8 for Chaos Knights into Votan. I think this is the same matchup we had previously, where I feel like in that particular matchup, before we look at those lists, would you say the Knights are favored into Votan? Or like
okay, so I've played this matchup 3 times now. It's kind of swingy. So I've had one game where he went first, went YOLO, and I got 19 wand. I played but I made a big mistake of reserving 3 baby knights because I thought, oh, I need to try and hide as much as I can, thinking that would be the logic. Oh, do I just try and get a draw out of this game? Do I play for points? Whereas it literally comes down to the second game. He went first again, but I set up all the knights, and it literally comes down to their first turn of shooting. If they kill like 2 knights, the Chaos Knights win. If they kill 3 knights, it's a game. If they kill 4, it's probably in their favor, because it's the retaliation of you killed 2 baby knights and damaged another, and then I kill all your Sagittarians.
Yeah.
And then I start hitting all your other stuff. It's now that wasn't. I haven't played against the double half guard, so that's a bit more difficult. But I would normally give this to Votan personally.
Yeah, I legitimately I am not convinced about this matchup. I have not seen it on the table enough times with different variations to be certain about the matchup. I've heard people say that it is Votan favored, but so far the French are proving us wrong.
Depends on the list.
Let's see this Chaos Knights list. Is this the same one? We've got 3 Stalkers, Brigands, Huntsman, and a single Carnivore. Exactly the same, I believe, as the previous one.
Yeah. Interesting.
Weird. There's something weird. Like, I think this is kind of a meta call, or like, I think there must be some like information exchange, or like a little bit of hyper focusing on some specific builds in the community to come up with the exact same list without like variating on more carnivores, for example. I'm wondering why would they dislike the Carnivore and prioritize the shooting so highly instead of just going for it? Because
Yeah,
let's be honest, six brigands and stalkers are still a lot of fucking shooting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of like, if I'm going to take anybody's point of view on Chaos Knights, it's going to be Matt Morsoli, who scored over 100 points in the WTC and then came second at a big event in Australia, both with Chaos Knights. And he pretty much took max carnivores, or usually 5 carnivores in both those lists, I think. So, yeah, they definitely, especially on WTC terrain, they have their place more than, I think, the Huntsman, who I think are just 10 points more and worse, personally.
Yeah, this checks out for me. Like, I need to see more. I'm wondering how the next rounds are gonna go for the Chaos Knights and what do they play against. But I just not a fan of this list. I'm very surprised, kind of, that so many of those players have taken it. Especially, I know some of them I know personally, like Lepoet. I've played, I believe, 2 times now, and he's an absolute beast of a player. So, not just again, very worth mentioning, not just a random like team tournament, but like the actual finals of a French league. So all of these guys are very good and very well prepared for this event.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's see the bottom. We've got 1 Ironmaster, 2 Grimnir this time. No Krals.
No.
20 warriors. Only 3 Sajdars, so I am expecting...
No half guard.
Yep. 3 fortresses.
Yeah.
With a lot of kin inside of those. Some Zergs. It is still incredible to me that you can pack 3 Sagittarius full of guys and 3 fortresses full of fucking guys.
Yeah, you get so much now.
This is so much stuff still. Like, I was about to say, surely, like, there is no way you're playing, like, fortresses right now. But you still have so much stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You have 2 squad of Zergs, you have so much Thunderkin, you've still got bikes, for fuck's sake. What the hell?
I think with this list not taking, say, the Hearthguard, it's kind of one of those, like, I've had it a couple of times where you can almost lose a fortress to a single brigand sometimes. So the melt, like, I've had it before, where it's like I get 2 shots. Okay, they both hit on 2s. They both wound on 3s. You've got -5, so no save. So it's like, if I'm in melter range, I'm doing 8 damage plus 2d6. I need to roll an 8 on 2 dice. You know what? It's not it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's especially on WTC boards. I feel like playing 3 fortresses is...
I don't love it.
This is, I think, specifically designed to be a defender's list.
More so, yeah.
I cannot imagine this being played on a heavy board, like super heavy board.
No.
I mean, it does have 2 squads of Zergs, but without the fucking Hearthguard.
I think they're counter assault. I think it's sit and get points, because you can't. If it gets to pick if it's a first put forward and it gets to pick the lightest table, there's not a lot of armies that really want to run at that. If he's got the ability to shoot stuff off objectives, he's getting points out of those games. And then he's got a couple of Zerky.
Yeah, this is a very valid point. Like, I'm literally thinking what I would attack this list with as a first defender. It's very difficult to come up with an army that could comfortably go into this.
Yeah, so they've probably gone Chaos Knights and it's a game, and then something else and it's a game, rather than having to use their... Like, you can put Eldar into it, but they just refuse the Eldar, because Eldar's still really good into this Votan list.
Yeah, does make sense.
So, but then again, pick a second one. So they might have gone Chaos Knights Eldar. Okay, you're not going to pick the Eldar, fine, Chaos Knights. It's a game. Maybe.
I'm wondering about Neds, if Neds can actually survive this damage output, or would they struggle? And what kind of nid list could do that?
That's more the question. It's what actual nid list is the most viable.
Yeah. Next up, 14-6 for CSM into Dark Angels. What kind of CSM are we looking at? Abaddon, 2 Lords, a Commune.
Oh, I like this one.
Ooh.
I like this one. This is a.
I don't
This is a
remember
mix
what
between.
the does for the Commune.
Sorry, say that again.
What does the intoxicating elixir does for the Commune?
He Googles.
Because that's interesting to me. That we would put an enhancement on the Commune guy. I do not remember. I'm gonna check that out in a minute. All right, we've got cultists. We've got a single rhino, 2 bullets of accursed cultists, 2 squad of chosen, 2 forge fiends, both Nergal though. Some talents Nergaling changing. Okay. So we've got Abby. Oh, this is why they are both Nergal. That makes sense, right? I like this list.
Yeah, it's kind of mixed between Liam and Manny's list.
Yes. Yes, yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
You've got the commune thingies, cultist units, which are awesome. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. They're like
they are very good.
The pseudos with Abaddon, it's almost like Necron Warriors sometimes. They're deceptively really hard to put down, which I don't think people realize.
Yeah, they are just obnoxious to put down. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, and when they bring models back, and it's just like. So yeah, Intoxicating Elixir is the bearer gets a 5 fill of pain, and the unit, after resolving attacks, if they use a Dark Pact, take a battle shock. So
that's a weird upgrade. This seems like this is the cheapest upgrade. This seems like something you put on a unit because you can.
Yeah.
Because you have the 15 points.
Presumably, then one of his units has to be Slanesh.
Then. Yeah.
Which is
a little bit random. I think it's something that might come up, but oftentimes won't. But it's 15 points. I guess you just fill the list with it. Yeah, I generally very much like this list. I am interested in the lack of oblits because there's not a single squad here. But I think, contrary to popular belief, that they are not necessary.
I don't think you need.
I'm wondering if this kind of list actually needs Abaddon in it.
The 4-pin
button is exchanging nice. Like, say you run. Yeah, you've got the cult. Yeah, I guess it supports both the cultists and the forge fiends at the later stages.
Yeah.
And it's a counterpunch. Yeah, I think this list is built well. I think there's definitely some themes here that gel. And like the obviously the chosen squads that are basically just a means for those scalers to get into combat and smash anything in the game, which is still kind of insane to me.
Yes.
And that they do that, but yeah, generally big fun.
I like it. Yeah.
There's a lot of survivability. There's a lot of good shooting because the oblits are still good. And there's some very key components in those chosen, just being like scalpel units that can go and smash some very specific things in combat.
Yes, yeah, I really like that list.
Yeah, that list is awesome. And we've got Dark Angels. Libby in the Terminator armor, Captain in Terminator armor, I suppose. The Deathwing Knights list. With 15 of them, though. Okay. Not fucking around. Inceptors, Infiltrators with the guy for long up, Sniper Scouts, Whirlwinds. Generally, what I'm finding here is Whirlwinds very fucking good in France. Like, Jesus Christ, there's so many Whirlwinds everywhere.
Love them. Absolutely love them. But no aggressors. So it seems quite...
No aggressors. No aggressors at all. No Redeemer. Just a lot of Deathly Knights,
Yeah.
the standard Space Marine junk that you do missions with and screen with.
Yeah, that's
with
actually quite a
three
nice
variants
solid
behind
put
it.
forward, I think.
Yeah. This is kind of, as I've alluded to earlier, this kind of side to me that most of these units could be run, or right, most of these lists could be run just like that in some of the new detachments.
Pretty much.
This is kind of, I think this is a little bit sad that the data sheet diversity is not going to be actually very huge. This one went 14-6 to the CSM list. And I can kind of see how, because without the aggressor blob, those cultists are a bitch to kill.
Yes, yeah, they are. Yeah.
And the Fortunes actually making, with the dev ones, I think can kind of effectively chew, slowly but effectively chew through the Thing Knights.
Yes.
Another CSM, and we have another Astromitarium. Let's actually go into the Astromitarium. Are we still seeing this kind of list with a lot of artillery, or is anybody experimenting with some tanks, for example? We've got the Guns Ghost, we've got Leontis, some Command Squad, still Ursula. I think this is very interesting that both of these lists are still running Ursula, and it's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah.
Because of the new restrictions for free stratagems. Regimental endings here. What the fuck?
No idea.
So Kata-chan. 1, 2. That's 3 Bulgarian squads. One of these is a 6-man. Holy shit. 1 Earthshaker. That seems very deliberate as a tech piece. 2 Hellhounds. 3 Mantis. And attaches with Astropath and Master of Ordnance. 1 Scout Sentinels. And the Rogel Dorn fucking battle tank. This is bizarre.
I kind of like it. I think it feels like he's trying to cover too many bases. He's kind of got like not enough tanks, not enough artillery, not enough board control, not enough combat, but he's got everything. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
He's got like
this kind of feels like it. I kind of love the all-out Bulgren because they are just such a pain to kill.
Yeah.
The 1 Earthshaker is kind of a tech piece to slow your opponent down. The Hellhounds are still just good. I'm not sure I'm not sold on Rogel Dorn tank. I think it's valid, but how good
French
exactly?
Like,
yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
this is kind of like very interesting to me and kind of amazing that those very specific country metas can operate in such different ways to what we see globally or in our communities. Like those are like the 3 variants in every Space Marine list, or the specific Chaos Knights list, or everybody playing some weird variation or something. This is very cute. I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to be able to say more, but I have not played against the Guard post data slate, like not a single game. So not sure how it performs overall in the meta. I think it's kind of under explored as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there isn't anything there, but I'm not saying it for now. Abaddon Chaos Lords, 3 communes. I think I know where this is going. We've got a Rhino, we've got a lot of cultists, of course, of a Curse Guard. We've got 1 Chosen this time, some Talons, 4 Oblits. Those guys are in our games. So, this is almost the same, but different.
Yeah.
This is putting in 4 Undivided Oblits for the Fortunes, basically, or like almost to the point. And this is putting in another Cursed Cultist unit instead of 1 more Chosen Squad. Which version do we like more? Or is this Because I think the difference is actually not huge.
No, I think I prefer this. I think I prefer the 2 Forge Fiends version.
I'm a Forge Fiend stan. I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Like I'd
I'm
much
a
rather
Forge
have
Fiend
2
stan.
Forge Fiends just sat at the back than one Oblit unit that has to kind of get once it's in a position, it's not.
Oh, it's not
If it
going
doesn't have
anywhere.
exactly, if it doesn't have loads of juicy targets, then it's kind of like so you start putting it in the middle. It's whereas 2 Forge Fiends can start doing stuff. I know they're hard, easy to kill, but the Blitz do a lot of damage. They
I
overkill a lot of
completely
the time.
agree with that, but I think both of these are pretty valid. They are both interesting. Again, we see some of the common threads across of them. So there are some definitely meta choices.
Yeah, I think Manny's taking.
This is a 13-7 to the CSM. To be honest, I would expect this list to crash guard. So guard pulling out a 7 from CSM in this situation, I think is a huge surprise for me.
Are the Bulgrin
Like
really
if somebody
annoying?
told me this list just straight up went and 20 that guard list, I would have been like, yep, that checks out. This getting a 7 is very surprising.
Do the cursed crash against Bulgrin as the -1 damage?
I'm sure they
do a
do.
lot to each other. Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Bulgrin aren't doing enough damage back, but
interesting. So this is very valid. I think they absolutely get stopped by Bulgrin. I'm wondering if you can guide like Abaddon to clear the Bulgrin or something.
Yeah.
And depending on where that exactly happens, I think the player with more models, so like the Accursed cultist, should have the upper hand in terms of OC on objectives. So this is kind of where I'd be. Okay, so we are all standing kind of in the middle and tied up, and nobody's dying. But I would guess that the person with like 30 Accursed cultists should, like, not 30, it's more like it's 16 in every squad, should have the upper hand, especially resurrecting them over and over again.
I guess obviously Abaddon's by himself. He can take some indirect to the face.
Oh yeah, true.
Because you're not wasting
so
it
you
against
probably need to Nurgle strike him every fucking turn.
Yeah, which you can do, I guess. That's true.
Definitely an option.
Yeah.
Next up, Gry Nights into GSC. Ooh. Oh boy. How does the French GSC look like post Death Slate? Because I'm very interested in that. Is there anything out there in this?
So he's giving away.
Yeah, the characters look normal. The hybrids, billion of free runners. Oh my god! What the fuck?
Okay, that's a slight curveball. Okay. Like if it was Whirlwinds, they'd probably have taken Whirlwinds, but yeah, it's Manticores.
This is, bro. What if we just took 3 Whirlwinds, but this time in GSC?
Yeah.
Man, the French just are so hard for no-loss shooting. It's
because the Manticores are not that great in GSC, are they?
I mean, they don't have the lethal hits. Yeah, the lethal hits from the.
Oh, is that all? Yeah, because you don't have orders anyway. Because
and probably not this. Neither do they have the orders from Leontis.
Yeah.
So I don't think they are hitting on 2+ anytime soon.
So they're hitting on like 4s and 5s.
Yeah, they seem sketchy. Especially like for the price, it's 450 points. It's exactly the same as the Whirlwind, and it doesn't have all of the nice stuff that the Whirlwind gets, especially on the old codex with real everything tuned with also small lands.
If you fail some of those bringbacks on the units, that list will lose board control real quick.
How many? It's just 80.
Just 80 and 3.
This is just 80 neophytes. That is not a lot of GSC. And this is the sentence I would.
No, it's not. And
Not
what-
say lightly, but this is not a lot of GSC. Like this is 80s guys. By the way, I love the
No.
fact that we are running 3 Mantis, but we still decide to bring 3 Ridge Runners with mortars. Just
Yeah,
to make a
and
point.
we took 3 Manticores instead of taking any demo charges.
That is
So,
true.
no hybrids.
Just I guess
Not hybrids,
the demo charges are not good enough.
Nah, Manticores all the way,
This is
bro.
bizarre. Also, this is
Yeah.
winning games.
It'd
I
be
love
Gry
this game
Nights.
sometimes.
Okay.
Okay. The Gry Nights list. 2 Libis, the Grandmaster, the Drago, the huge Termi, the Strike Squad, the Inceptor, the huge Paladin Squad. This is Jack Harster's list. But with extra
Basically, yeah. Without assassins.
This is as close as you can get, I think, with some minor tweaks. Because this is 3 huge blobs, 2 Terminators blobs, and the Paladin blob. I think I was wondering about this because you've got the options with Gry Nights in this particular matchup to manipulate the state of the board in such a way that you don't get like shot with exactly the demo charges, right? So because every time some things, for example, deep strikes 3 inches away, you can just teleport away or just move back. And 3 Manticores seems sketchy for this, except they are not Astra Military Manticores, so they are probably not that good. Do the Manticores benefit from the Achilles Runners -1 AP? They probably do now.
Maybe. Do they have the right keywords?
They might.
That's not awful, then.
I have no clue. But this is very interesting because the Gry Nights list doesn't love damage 3 no loss shooting.
No, true.
I just don't know how effective this shooting is. And I feel like just even the demo charges build, I think still just will beat Gry Nights handily. So this 13
But then again,
7, I'm wondering if like the more classic list, just with minor tweaks, basically the pre-slate list does this beat the Gry Nights with
I
more
guess it's
ease.
one of those. If the Manticores are killing 3, maybe 4 Terminators a turn, they get their points back, and that Gry Night list, if it takes them 3 turns to kill one of the big Terminator blocks, granted, I guess some of them are bringing models back, but then again, it's like it's not awful in this matchup. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah, generally super bizarre GSC list. Like
interesting though. Interesting.
Completely out there. Next up, Necrons against Eldari. 19-1. This makes 0 sense. I don't know anything about Warhammer apparently. First, we've got Eldar just trumping 20-0 in Necrons, and then we have Necrons completely demolishing Eldari. Okay. CCB. Chos. Lord, Orkan, Techno. So this is going to be a lot of warriors. The Cthulhu. I hate this unit. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's
so bad.
Expensive. Yeah, double warriors.
20 warriors, Ghost Dark, Reanimators, Swarms, Scripted and 10 Lich Guard. Ooh! So we've got 20 warriors and 10 Lich Guard with basically Trash, Ghost Dark, and the Reanimator to play your game.
Okay.
And the Shares. Shares are actually pretty nice in this list. Yeah, this is as close as you can get to Liam Hacken's list from WTC with the current things, but hey, you've got fucking 10 Lich Guard more almost. Basically what happened.
Yeah, he's taking 10 Lich Guard. I don't know if he has the characters.
This is kind of a this looks like a cookie cutter. Necrons are good now list.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no Doomsday Arcs, which like if Lich Guard are 230 for 10 men, are we really thinking about bringing a Doomsday Arc for 210?
No. Or Nightbringer, who's similar points. So from Liam's list, Liam had Nightbringer Say he's taking an extra 10 Lich card. I don't know if he has the characters to spread over all 3 units. Maybe he picks and chooses sometimes.
Yeah, because there's Chos doesn't, I think, join, but there's Lord. The Orcan goes into one of the squads. Techno, 2 Technos only. So one of the squads don't have Technomancer with them. And how many of them? And 2 units of Crypto Thrust only. Yeah, so some of them are not fully supported.
So he's probably picking and choosing in certain games, possibly.
Yeah, I think this is like you come to the table and then you decide which of the squads need the characters the most.
I don't hate
which
that.
Are going to be actually the best to support. Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the take this and play this list for teams, and I think for singles even as Necrons right now. This is the closest I would be willing to put my bet on like this is the cookie cutter list. All right, how this 19-1 Eldar? Are we in for some treats in this Eldar list again? We've got Illic, we've got Incarn. We do have the Waynicker without this Phoenix Gem. We've got Farseer and the Spirits here. Seems normal. Spectres, 10 red card. Some Rangers. Or Skybears.
It seems pretty good.
Hey, this is
it's not far off most normal Eldar list.
Yeah, this is very, very standard. Except like maybe the high wire cannon bikes, but I think they're fine. The walkers are a bit expensive, but also a bitch to kill, so don't hate them. Just one
with the
spinner,
scout and anti-tank, they're good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess this just. I mean, I've heard many LO players say this is one of the worst matchups that they can get. Which, I mean, how this exactly is supposed to go through so many bodies, resurrecting Necron Warriors bodies, because this doesn't zero a Necron Warrior squad ever with its output. Straight up, it just doesn't happen. And especially with the Warwalkers and like the Haywire Cannons, I see this being a problem. I think there's definitely play there still for Eldar, but maybe this would require more than one spinner to just slow everything down to a crawl.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah.
I guess he's probably hacked it.
I am very interested how this matchup came to be. I'm gonna be honest. I think if I had this list to pair into anything, I would do anything I could to not put it into that Necrons list.
Yeah, like I don't know who's been put forward here. I don't know what, unless this was like the last matchup. Unless this is who was left in the hole. I don't know if these are in order.
No idea. No idea.
The only I can think of is these 2 were left in the hole at the end. These were the 8.
Yeah, because otherwise I don't think anybody's like this Eldar is like this list just doesn't want to fucking have to do anything to do with the 40 warriors plus 10 other characters.
Yeah, because he's probably pushed the Wraith Guard forward and a Necron Warrior unit has charged it and wrapped it and gone, cool, sat here all game.
Yep, and they stayed there for the entire game. Which
and if he's done that on the center and he's taken fixed, then he's not scoring a lot of points.
Seems like about time for the Eldar. World Eaters. Let's see what the French World Eaters look like. This is the first one. We have not seen any of the World Eaters yet. We do have the Ron. We have the favorite Demon Prince.
2, okay.
2 of them. We have the most fun character in the game, bar none. This is my new favorite model, by the way. Playing with this gentleman has made my life so much more enjoyable recently. This is basically like playing with the old Smash Captain in 8th. This is how I feel like every time this guy gets into combat. It's wonderful.
Okay, just the Jackal heaviness.
Yeah, that's the big unit. 20 units of Jackals. 20 units of Jackals. Oh, look. It's all just fucking Jackals.
Yeah,
we've got 5 Zergs for the Master Execution to hide in, and the Rhino for them.
Yeah. I like this list. Definitely for teams.
Yeah. Yeah. This is Very Team's World Eaters. It's got the Rons, it's got the Master of Executions, and it just swarms you with so many Jackals that are way more difficult to kill than you can imagine with a 5-up Feel No Pain constantly going. And a ton of attacks. What do the Demon Princes give you, actually?
Doesn't one of them give you a 4+ invuln?
I think they might. Double checking that quickly. World Eaters Demon Prince. They are wingless. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think all the Jackals are on a 4+ invuln.
Yeah. Correct. All of them within 6 give 4-up invuln to every infantry model. And it has the wound if it charges. Cool. Just but they are basically there to give all of the Jackals 4-up invuln. So if you get a lot of bodies with 4-up invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain constantly running, how many exactly are we talking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60? Yeah, we've got 60 bodies. Some of them dishonored. Just 4-up invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain. Let's go.
Yeah, well, it's 6 units of like 80. No, they're like 20-man units. It's like 122 to 4+ invulns. It's a fucking nightmare for people. So yeah, this Chaos Knight list.
A lot of attacks, by the way.
Yes, a lot of attacks, yeah. And then Angron picking up anything big.
Oh yeah, there's still Angron then. Is this the same? Nope. This has more Carnivores.
So this
4 Carnivores, 1, 2,
6.
6 Brilliants and 3 Stalkers.
Yeah.
I like this better, straight up, as we've discussed.
Yeah. So yeah, this obviously ended 11-9 to the World Eaters. I think it's a case of they're not very good at killing each other. It's just,
they are not.
It's just because
my problem with this list with this World Eater list would be because this is, for me at least, kind of similar to what Manny was saying at the LGT, for example.
Yeah.
My point would be, but it has Angron, so in this term it has more reach because it has this big motherfucker who just can kill almost anything in the game, or like big stuff, especially. My point would be, doesn't this suffer from the same things that those, for example, Necrons suffer from? If you come against something that is very much prepared to deal with 20 warriors with Orican and the Technomancer, doesn't this list just die to it? Say,
double half guard.
The aggressors.
Rinses it. Yeah. Aggressors, double half guard, anything with like it probably doesn't love CSM.
Yep, I think this is the problem. Like, I love this list on paper. I'm just, same way as with Necrons, I am not sure I love it in context of current meta. Or like, I think we have enough things to deal with those type of very durable horde things that it's either, okay, I don't have the army that can actually deal with that, it's doomed, or I am one of those armies that was prepared to deal with Necrons blobs, so I'm just gonna rinse through that.
Yes, it suffers a little bit. Anything that can kind of cock block it as well, like a Tyranid with gargoyles or other things like that. It's also one of those. It probably looks a lot better on paper than when you actually put it on the table. Trying to effectively use 120 dudes and keeping your 4+ invulns all the time, not losing your Demon Princes. That's probably why he's taken 2. It's one of those, like if you kill both those Demon Princes, it all falls apart quite badly, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it's in this vein is kind of similar to the list Manny was running. If he, it exactly happened. If he, when at the exact moment he lost Abaddon, just the entire game plan fell over and died. But I think I like this better because the Angron is such a different profile, right? So if you are shooting for something that can kill 20 warriors, perhaps it's not ideal in killing Angron. Except, I think, like, the huge crisis blob just also sweeps Angron straight up, or the aggressor should do it as well, which is weird
Yes.
because those are those kinds of units that just deal with everything by the quantity of their shots, even if it's either Angron, a big knight, or just a lot of dudes.
Yeah, like if that Tower army's picking up 20 to 60 a turn as well, sorry, but
Oof.
40-ish, then it's like, okay, fine. And
Generally, I think this is worth exploring. This is
Yes.
something that's, if the meta is not prepared for it, this can sweep up the meta very hard. Like if you go with a similar list to this, and you find yourself in a meta that is not very prepared for it, I feel this is one of the best the best armies to build that horde archetype around.
Definitely. Yeah.
Next up. All of these very drawish, by the way, so far. We've got Dark Angels. Is this the normal Dark Angel stuff?
Aggressive, definitely. 2 Deathwing Knight units again.
2 Deathwing Knights. A Redeemer.
Has he got whirlwinds? Yeah.
And of course, Blue Ravens. Is this the normal? This is 20 Lich Guard variation.
It's got 6 heavies.
Love the Akarin, love those. By the way, still underexplored, I feel like. Very good units, by the way. They are beasts. They are kind of like Tomb Blades, but better because they can go through walls. I think Gita was using them in WTC. I don't think they are very much explored in other Necrons lists. They are one of the better units that they have.
I'm trying to remember what they look like.
Those are those kind of fucking flies. They are very weird. They are those kind of like weird flies from Forge World.
They are the Forge World ones. Sorry, yeah, I know which one.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Very good unit. We've got 3 Doomstalkers though. Are Doomstalkers good? I don't know. I have not seen one since Indomitus.
Yeah, I'd imagine
no clue what they do, honestly.
Towering is gone at least, so they're not as bad.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 20 Lich Guard instead of the Warriors.
Yeah, it's block on block.
Going against very cookie cutter Dark Angels list, ending in a 12-8.
Yeah, sure. Sounds about right.
What are French Eldari doing?
What the?
Let's talk. Because this is the first Eldar that's going to 20-0. And I also know Zika, personally. So I'm going to point this out to him.
Eldar not doing so great in France right now.
But Jesus Christ. Okay, let's go into the Eldar list. Is there something wrong with it? Or what happened here again?
Good start.
Wayleaper, Farseer.
Great start.
We've got the Fugal.
And the Yunkan.
We've got the Spiritseer. We've got the Incarn. We've got the Spinner. Or 2 of them. Some Rangers. Great. Spiders. Wraith Guards. This is just fine.
Took a Wraith Lord. Interesting choice, but other than that, yeah.
Sure. But this is the kind of like one unit that you pick because you like, or like you've tested it and it worked for your purposes. I know, for example, Judah was testing a Wraith Lord at some point because he just wanted something to stay on one particular objective. It's fine, right? Nothing to write home about, but definitely not flawed in any particular way. Yeah, this is cookie cutter, just fucking awesome Eldar. Getting 20-0 by Gry Nights. What up? Okay, maybe something here. Yeah, Drago, Freebies, and Grandmaster. Yeah, this is Jax Harper's list.
Yeah, so the only thing I can think of, is what's possibly happened is if the Eldar player's not necessarily played it, you can drop a squad. Say, for example, you moved a Wraithguard out, then you can drop a squad 3 inches away in the terrain piece that you're going to Phantasm behind into, and then he's got his Wraithguard caught, and 3 Librarians picked up the whole unit, plus some shooting. So he's lost his Wraithguard, and then it's kind of like loads of little... Once the Yunkan's dead, there's nothing to deal with Terminators, really, from that point.
Yeah, this doesn't have like a great peaking in terms of where the incarn can teleport on it, except for the like 5
Strike.
strike squads.
But they're coming
Like
in turn 3.
yeah, and the incarn can definitely get picked off by all the smites from librarians.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like
Um,
even if the young
it's
con
a
comes
tricky
over,
matchup, I feel like. I've heard
it's
that
not that
Jack
bad.
had some success in the previous Elder iterations when they were testing this list for WTC, and I think it was actually kind of fine against Elder. So sure, maybe it has gotten just better. It's still
20 supplies
extremely
though.
surprising to me that it can 20-0 them.
Yeah, that seems like something's gone wrong.
Hello.
Oh.
This, by the way, is going to be our regular co-host of Enter the Matrix right now, I believe. She often does that. So, okay, just I've got nothing. I'm gonna make fun of Zika though when I see him next time.
Well, the round ended in a draw,
Okay.
so yeah.
Yep, the round came to a draw. We are, after basically seeing every single list from the tournament, let's now see how the actual tournament and games win. So just like as an evaluation of the meta, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think there's a lot of very particular builds that have developed in their own kind of meta, which I don't necessarily agree with, but there's definitely some underlying like thoughts put onto the list. Um, there's some stuff I just straight up dislike. I think the most egregious one would be the Wraith Knight with the Elder list.
I don't get it.
Like I have nothing to justify bringing a Wraith Knight to a tournament right now. I think it just
like
doesn't.
one of your top 3 teams at the PTC took double Wraith Knight, and it didn't score phenomenally well. I guess he probably played a couple of games with it because obviously your list submission was like right on the same weekend that the data slate came out. So he's probably gone, oh, you know what? I'll try 2 Wraith Knights and gone, nah, these are not good.
Kind of crazy. Yeah, and the love for the Whirlwind and all of the Nolos is just fascinating to see. I guess some of us Marine players will actually be happy with the Codex just playing a lot of Whirlwind still.
Yeah, it seems like it's going
to be okay. Let's see how the actual tournament went. Round 2. So far we've got Semi-Custodians, defending champions, with 2 points, and these two with 1 and no main name so far with 0. Let's see how the no name into FTA went. No name has taken this 2-0 again.
GK beating Dark
We've got
Angels.
GK just a good army. I feel like a lot of them have taken like a lot of the teams. I believe there are 3 teams with Gry Nights, or am I mistaken? 2 or 3.
There was 3, yeah.
And so at least half of them. I think 3 even, and all of them are doing pretty fucking good in this.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Just mortal wounds the fuck out, and I guess we gel. Yeah, this is the one without the aggressors, which also makes sense to me, because the aggressors I think make this way difficult. But because of what I'm taking the guard 15-5 again, this checks out to me because
you can put it under so much pressure.
Exactly. I feel like the no shooting can only do so much if you are playing against enough like 3 fortresses or
and
a lot
League's
of
so good into
stars.
tanks. Yeah.
So
League
this
just
is not unexpected. All right, we've got an Eldari Mirror 20-0 for one of them.
Yeah, that's usually how that goes.
This is, I assume, the normal list. Yep. And this is the also kind of normal list. So just go first, win games. Easy.
Seems that way.
Yep. Burger flipped the matchup, worked out. Good for them.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Next up, we've got Gry Nights 19-1 Necrons. Holy shit, the Gry Nights are on the run. What the fuck? How? Why?
It's a lot of mortals.
I
and
guess the
actually
mortal
in
won't
combat,
outdo this complete bitch. Like 3 librarians can absolutely prove to be a problem against
it's quite
against
scary.
Necrons, because but 19-1, 100 points. Holy man, the Grey Knights are doing phenomenally well. Like this legitimately makes me want to test them even more because I know they are kind of good, and this is like just track Harpster's list, and I think it was okay-ish or like okay adjacent. Another mirror, by the way. This game Chaos Knights, and we got 11-9. I mean,
Sure.
mirrors to be mirrors. Another mirror with CSM. This time, Psycho smashing the 3 Dark Common builds with 3 across cultists.
Yeah, that's the Blit one in it.
Yep. Without the Forge Fiends, I feel this is a lot better for the MSU build. It also checks out for me. Not very surprising. Dark Angels putting Necrons in the dirt, so Necrons, again, not having the great tournament.
Struggling.
I assume this has... Yep, this is Apothecary, so it must have the Aggressors, which also shred through everything.
Pick up a unit and game's over.
Yep. And the Hellblasters with Azrael, actually. Also get into that, I believe.
Yes, true, yeah.
And we've got Votan winning against GSC. Against this weird GSC. Also, I don't believe that the Manticore are good into any Votan lists. Not with all of the transports.
A GSC can be a problem for Votan, but it's a little bit turn. Like if you can pop it. Yeah, nice.
Checks out. Now this is a big one. This is Paris United very handedly winning versus Semi-Christians. Very interesting to see how what went down here. Okay,
that was probably a fun game.
This
smash.
Look, what I see here is 2 people that decided to go for maybe a glass of wine instead of just looking at their armies, being like, "Are we sure we want to do this?"
Yes, this is either a prior agreement, or this was either they both just sat there, or they both decided that, or they both ran out of time.
There's so many options. Like some of them, this might have been the best game of Warhammer ever played.
Possibly.
Or it might have not been played. But this must have been like, if this happened, some of them would have broken their backs over the table, because that
looks like a fun game.
That looks like a fun game until you realize how many like your every actual movement, especially playing that matchup, matters so fucking much that you must actually take care of every single model in some of those squads. I cannot imagine playing that for 4 hours straight. That would have been nightmarish.
And then having to count out
horrifying,
like 100 to 400 dice a turn, just to roll attacks and everything. No, I'm good.
Like on paper, though, I think the Jackals should take it.
You can't demech it though,
maybe
that easily.
Because Angron, like this list will struggle to kill Angron, and the Jackals, remember, you can get fight on death with them even.
Yeah, I would.
They are OC1 though. The Jackals are actually not OC2. Yeah, maybe not 100% sure. I think I would have favored the Jackals ban here, but
I would do. But then again, if the Orc player's smart, he's probably going, "Well, I don't need to sit in my tanks. I'll just start charging you with tanks and go, well, if you're not killing my tanks, then I'm cot blocking you. I'm doing this, I'm doing that." It's
Yeah, but you've got a lot of transports, so
Yeah.
you definitely can slow the wave down, or even just completely fucking butcher it and its tempo. And there's no falling back and charging with those jackals. We've got Dark Angels defeating Raven Guard 13-7.
Mm.
Okay, not super insane. We've got Eldari 10-10ing a Terrans list. This old Terrans list with two Biovores, some aggregate things. This is surprising.
That is surprising.
That is very surprising. I would have given a 15 plus to Eldar here in this particular matchup with the alternates. At least a 15. I think this is unexpected. We've got Chaos Knights just smashing Tau Empire. I think this can happen easily.
Yeah.
I think even that list that is very focused around damage, but it doesn't have any of the broadsides, for example.
No.
If this list gets rushed by by any Chaos Knights list, it's going to struggle because it's killing 2 knights probably a turn comfortably, but it's going to die, and it's going to die pretty fucking fast right now.
Yeah, once the crisis suits are dealt with, it's also just like I'm gonna max my secondaries. I'm basically like maxing my score, and I'm gonna tank your primary because I'm just gonna lob knights on your objectives and go, cool, deal with it.
Yeah, this was one of the matchups I was very much considering. Like, can Tau play this? Who's favorite here? And I wasn't sure, but the more I thought about it, I think this kind of clarifies to me that if the Chaos Knights especially go first, if the Tau don't present some very specific options like the broadsides, this can just go horribly as it did here.
It's bad.
Because I don't think you are killing enough knights to justify, and you're dying in a horrific manner.
And to be honest, I have similar results versus Eldar.
Ooh,
like
that actually checks out. Yeah,
if you basically don't engage with the Wraith Guard unit, then the rest of the list is not that scary. Young Khan comes over and kills a knight, cool, but then she dies to Melter quite comfortably because she doesn't halve the Melter damage.
True.
That's a little bit. If she rolls stupidly hard, it's annoying, but she kills like a knight. But then again, you just run around it. Yeah, you run around it, and to be honest, Josh and Matt Morsoli have both been panning Eldar by good scores. You play double Wraith Guard, you lose.
I can absolutely see that.
I
think that's a very legit point.
Anyway.
Okay, Gry Nights again.
Winning.
Putting good scores against Eldar. This time an 11, not a fucking 20 or something. But still, that is the Avatar Paint. Is that the... Yeah, it's the Wraith Knight list. Okay.
Yeah, so here's...
So Wraith Knight better, officially. If you want to play that specific matchup of Eldari versus Gry Knight, just bring a Wraith Knight. It does better than the other options. I don't fucking know.
Maybe Gry Nights is quite good to Eldar.
The more I look at the results, the more they hurt my head. All right, we've got Astral Term 91 in the Necron list.
Okay.
Maybe this is... Oh, this is the triple Doomsday Arc list with 20 Lich Guard. Okay. Okay, makes kind of more sense now. And I assume this is the... Yep, Earthshaker and the Bulgrins. I think legitimately Bulgrin can just stop them forever, almost.
Yeah, they just sit in the Lich Guard and go, cool.
Yeah,
and then
I think this
it's rest
exactly
of my list versus the rest of your list, and yours. I'm taking out more.
I think this is exactly what happened. 19-1 is still surprising. I think this is a little high.
Guards going 100.
But I can see that happening. Then we've got Necrons. Didn't Lamar just 20-0 Necrons last round? What is going on, guys?
This person might actually know what sisters do. So.
Yeah, but I think he played the last round. He played against Lich Guard, I think, and this is the very good like 20 warriors 10 Lich Guard list. Still a decent score. Let's be honest. It's still very. I mean, you pull off a draw. I think this still look. I would say this is one of the worst matchups for Sisters, and he's getting that matchup second time, and so far he has 28 points from it. So
Exactly.
maybe I'm just completely fucking wrong. If he went into Necrons 2 times, then possibly it's not a bad matchup. I mean, he surely knows more about Sisters than I do, but
Yeah, definitely.
maybe I'm sticking out of my ass. CSM Mirror 11-9. Again, this was the 2 abundance list with one of these, I believe. Yeah, this is the communes, and this, I assume, yeah, this is the Terminators.
Yes.
Is this expected? Because this is the mirror, but not really, right? You've got similar stuff, but this is very like hordy, difficult to kill, and
so
this is kind of elite difficult to kill.
He can't deal with the Terminator block at all. But then again, it's kind of one of those. 2 forge fiends are annoying, but I guess you just Nurgle strat. It's how many. If he's smart with his strats, it's just like, well, if you pop armor contempt or whatever the CSM version is, I guess those cultist units just do nothing to Terminators. But then again, if they're still holding the objective, yeah, that's an interesting one. But as you can see, it's 99 to 90.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like, yeah, we just played the game and scored a lot, and
yeah, they both
not a lot died.
We're all going to score our points. Are you going to stop me? Maybe not. But yeah.
Yeah, so Paris United takes down Semi-Christians very
which I'm assuming
with a very, very good results. Next up, Paris United again winning, this time against No Name. Anything interesting? All right, Dark Angels into Necrons, decent. I'm wondering how the Gry Nights are still doing. We got a 10-10 World Eaters against CSM.
Okay.
Sure.
That was the one
We've got 11-9 CK versus Gry Nights. The Gry Nights into CK.
It's tough to kill tanks.
It's like ridiculous to kill tanks with grenades, but also you can just, I think, kite them enough, like well enough to secure that. I think you are coming from the grenades perspective. I would say you are trying to reach a draw from the down score, right? So we are starting 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, it's whether you can tank his primary, and I guess actually in that matchup, I'd probably prefer the 6 Carnivores.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Way better.
Because the Melter's not doing anything.
Then we've got the Terminators is the button. Very surprising to me, actually. I would have given, as I've said previously, League of the Bottom way of a bigger win, bigger favor in this matchup with all the transports. Then we have a big one, which is Necrons demolishing us from the turn.
Can happen.
It definitely can. This is the order list, or is this the Bulgarian list?
Yeah, that's the one. With
this is the order list. This is Medusas and more of the this exactly. I think this is the difference between running all the Bulgarian and not running all the Bulgarian.
Yeah, you've got no board control.
Exactly. This just gets swarmed and just loses. Whereas the Bulgarian allowed you to slow down the Necrons to a crawl and actually fight for the board. This time, Knight's doing way better into Gry Nights.
That 40 Warriors, 10 Lichguard one seems to be the only Necron list that's doing very well.
Right? All of the other ones are struggling super hard. Like
struggling.
The Gry Nights again against Chaos Knights, this time getting a lower score, but I think still reasonable. As I've said, I would expect them to be reaching that draw from like 7, 8, 10 points, maybe up to 10 points.
Yeah, 7 to 10 probably.
This time, Elder mirroring it out. Yeah, this is the good list. Just players playing the game. We've got CSM into Dark Angels, but getting blasted. This one is this is the communes, and let's see. And this is the Azrael and the Aggressors build. Because it's completely understandable. This, all of the communes and all of the accursed cultists just die so fast from this list.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So, completely expected.
Yeah. And then even the knights are a pain in the dick in combat.
And the very last one. Boy, let's go. Gry Nights are actually like the champions of this tournament. If we took all of the results, like I maybe try to find the individual results, but I think Gry Nights might have done better than Eldari at this tournament, which is insane.
Quite possibly, yeah. So Eldar's got some zeros.
Yep. Again, Necrons. Only one good list of Necrons in this tournament, apparently, but all of them brought Necrons, and I think they are generally struggling across the tournament. We've got Adeptus Sororitas 11-9 to Craftworlds. And this is not the Wraith Knight build.
Interesting.
Yo. Sister's good? Actually?
It's an interesting one. If the Sisters
they won Pumba.
Sisters on a heavy table, maybe? Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying Sister should get nerfed, but Typhus is just almost has his whole army painted by a studio, so maybe they just should, just on a principle. JSC winning with CSM with the Termi squad. Okay, this Termi squad definitely doesn't have to get trained on. Surprising, right? Because that without all of the demo charges, how is this dying?
The only thing I can think of is if he's been caught out one turn without the Nurgle strap. That's the only thing I can think of.
I guess.
That's like,
or just maybe just 18 years just fucking went into him.
Maybe it's possible
because with all the Forge Fiends, with all the blasts, I guess you don't have that good of a killing potential against 80 hybrids.
That list is quite.
Maybe you can just control the flow of the game by putting like a huge string of Neos across the board where the Terminators would like to go, and just stop them in their tracks, like almost at your deployment zone.
Yeah, but that's risky to do now when he's only got 4 squads and they have to roll to come back now. It's like we've got Necrons getting 20-0'd again.
Yep, Necrons getting blasted, and this is the matchup that you really fucking shouldn't play with Necrons right now. Like no Necron list wants to play Tau right now. I think this is very expected. CK doing okay into Gry Nights. We've got Eldari doing okay into Vodan again. Kind of expected, but Vodan still putting a 6. I think reasonable. And we've got Raven Guard beating Space Marines this time with the Dark Communes. Again, same thing. You've got the Aggressor Bob. Those are just dying. Straight up.
Fall over.
And let's see, is this the... Yep, this is the list without the Aggressors getting swarmed by Orcs and actually losing.
Just getting outscored. So you can see Orcs did really well.
Some choices. So the final results of the tournaments is Paris United coming off with a draw and 2 wins, Semi-Crusadons with 2 wins. So this also means that Paris United, I assume, are now picking the captain for the French team instead of Semi-Crusadons. I haven't talked to Oliver or any from the French guys if something is actually changing. They have some maybe new ideas for this, or like how do they want to do that. But congratulations to Paris United. I'm still gonna, I know a lot of these guys. I'm still gonna give Zika a lot of shit for getting 0'd. But hey.
That's what friends are for.
Generally, very interesting meta.
Yeah.
Very out there. Some of the love the fact that some of the ideas are very focused and are really good and have clearly performed outside of this French meta, because when Oliver came to LGT, has done very well. I believe he went all the way to the quarterfinals and then lost against he lost against Eldari, but I don't necessarily remember which one.
Was it Nats?
Maybe Guillaume's.
Could be Guillaume's.
Possibly Guillaume's Eldari. Not 100% on that though. But he has done very well in the tournament with that particular list. Of course, the list is going to change significantly after the new codex, but some of the ideas are clearly like worth looking at. General failings: Gry Nights broken.
Did
maybe
great. Looked like
holy
really-
shit. Necron's bad.
Didn't look good.
But,
One did
okay.
well. The rest didn't look great.
Sisters? I don't want to say good
Surprisingly
because
well.
Titus is gonna just fucking go apeshit over this, because all he's talking about is sisters. And he's trying to push them for everything now. But I think
Yeah,
sisters
like-
are still absolutely valid.
I would put a big asterisk on them because, like you say, it's a bit like the Grey Knight thing. Play 5 games into them, learn the codex, might not be the same results.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's,
Absolutely true.
say, like some of those Necron games, if it was a bit gotcha and he went, oh, I lost 20 warriors that I didn't think I was going to lose, that's a game. Things like that.
Definitely. I think the general, my feeling at least, is the meta is basically wide open for trying stuff out. And if you are good enough and you have like an idea of something that might work in your team composition, I think this is the time to test it. Especially in teams now, like Eldari are still broken, but we can clearly see that people have come up with answers to them in the team format, and they are absolutely beatable right now. This is not the WTC situation when you maybe have an answer for Eldari that can put off the 7 and you're happy with that.
Yeah.
Eldari are definitely beatable now. They cannot bring answers to everything in the meta anymore. A Wraith Knight is not killing anything from elite infantry to land raider to a 20-man neophyte squad or a 20-man warrior squad. They must now pick and choose between units. So assuming some of the lists are going to go one way, you can try to go different way, or like actually counter the most popular stuff with Eldar. So they are not and be all end all faction that is absolutely unbeatable, which is very nice to see.
Yeah.
This looks very healthy, like overall.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think some interesting ideas were definitely tested. A lot of the lists were quite different. Most of the Eldars looked pretty cookie cutter. They're pretty much all 10 Wraith, single Wraith Guard, some indirect character setup.
Don't bring Wraith Knights. I think we can say that.
Yeah, basically
Pretty
don't do that.
definitely.
Necron's pretty similar, but they all took some interesting tech choices. But yeah, it's nice to see sisters. Somebody took the orcs. Nice to see world eaters. A lot of teams, or quite a few teams, took Votan. They're doing really good now.
Super good.
Yeah,
Chaos Knights, very stable, it seems.
Yeah, pretty much 3 or 4 teams took CK.
Very, very good, very stable scorer.
Didn't see any of them getting less than 6, I think. If that. Yeah, they're just solid. I think there's, compared to what we were at the WTC, where there's these 2 or 3 auto take factions, and then there's some like, what are we taking here? There's now seems to be, it's a lot more open. You might still see every team's going to take CSM, but actually all the CSM lists were pretty different in some way or another.
That's true. I especially loved the double commune with the 14th Fittest. I think this is my favorite one. I think it's very interesting. It's something different to the Liam Sacco format, which I think is going to be very popular right now because Liam won LGD with it. And it's very good, don't get me wrong, but I think running the very, very, very cookie cutter list in the team's environment might not be the way, because you sometimes want to.
Yeah, which is probably what's hurting Eldar.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
because it's so obvious where
Yeah.
they are. Yeah, but no, that was
It's
good.
it's healthy. It's healthy. It's
Mm.
actually exciting. That's something that's oftentimes Teams is this kind of tool that allows you to enjoy the 40k when the meta is absolute shit and it's complete garbage. And now it feels like the meta is kind of fine, but the singles is a little fucked because of Elder. But Teams looks incredibly interesting right now.
Yes, Teams looks very good.
I think building an 8-man team right now is a like you've got so many options. Even a 5-man's, it's hard to say there's an army that you cannot pick. Maybe some like I would still not bring Drukhari to a team comp.
Yeah.
Adamec Drukhari, I think, are the worst ones, but you can see Sisters
IK.
doing good. Yeah, Imperial Knights are
Trash.
sure.
Yeah,
There
but
are some outliers, definitely.
so many options.
Almost everything else is pretty good, which is awesome to see. All right, I think this is gonna be a wrap. It still came out to be an over 2 hours episode of just us rambling. Thank you for everybody for watching. I haven't done the plugs yet, so hold on to your butts. I'm trying to remember them. I don't have noted. I have not done any notes before the show because of course I haven't. So be sure to check out the other shows of the net on the network, which is the main show which happened yesterday and it happens weekly on Tuesdays. I think most of the time zones, but I'm not gonna remember the time. Tuesday evening European times is the usual show. We've got Exxon One, which happens, I believe, on the alternate weeks with Enter the Matrix. Be sure to check out our Patreon. We are currently running the league, the team league, TTS Vibe Check League, which has over 20 teams signed up for, including my team, which with the Dutch guys, which is going to be awesome. There are a lot of players like South African teams and Australian teams. It's going to be a blast. Yeah, check out our Patreon, check out the coaching that Ines and Typhus are providing. Maybe I'm going to jump into that train as well soon enough. And other than that, thank you so much for watching and see you at the next one.